Hi, I'm Mark. This is Mark's Tech Box on YouTube, and today I'm going to bring you guys a review of the Eve Matter-compatible window and door contact sensor. Now, I purchased this myself about 5 months ago, and it cost about £35. This makes it one of the more expensive contact sensors out there, but because it's Matter compatible, you don't need an additional hub beyond what you've already got in your house. And of course, as I've said with other contact sensor reviews on this channel before, whilst it's designed for windows and doors, you can use it on anything you want to monitor contact. That means when my Meros contact sensor stopped working on my record player, I replaced it with this one. So let's get into the spec. And as I said, because it's Matter compatible, you don't need an extra hub. You can just use whatever hub is already in your smart home. So for me, that's Apple HomePod minis. That Matter compatibility is built on Thread, and this means it's compatible with a wide range of other services. That does include Apple Home, SmartThings, Home Assistant, Google Home and Amazon Alexa. Now, as with every review on this channel, I have just used it with Apple Home. You can also use it in the Eve app, which is a free app I have actually reviewed on this channel before. That app is great for doing advanced things in Apple Home, and for this window and door sensor it will tell you extra things like how many times it's been used and the battery life as well. But you don't have to even have that app. In terms of battery, it takes one half-size AA battery. Eve say this is long-lasting, but they don't commit to how long it's going to last for. And actually, the claim of long-lasting is not true at all from my experience with this. And in the 5 months I've had it, it's got through 2 batteries. This is despite the fact it's probably only activated at most once per day. And compare this to my Meros one where battery life was about a year, this is actually the biggest downside of this device. And spoiler alert for my verdict at the end, that's why it's not one I'd actually recommend. I'd recommend the Aqara or the Meros one, and I will link both below. But let's talk about design. So the design of this is in 2 parts, as with all contact sensors. There's the main body, which is pretty small, and it's got rounded edges and it's white, and then there's the second part, which is even smaller. That second part also comes with spacers if you need to raise its height, which I did, as you can see. These all stack together almost a bit like Lego. Now this device sticks onto whatever you're going to stick it to using sticky pads. They are strong enough so that if you're careful, you can actually remove the main body away from its back when you need to change your battery. Overall, it's a nice design, but it's not the smallest contact sensor out there. That still is one by Aqara. And overall, I do think the Aqara one is probably a better product, even though you do need a Zigbee hub. So let's talk about setup. So setup is as simple as pulling out the battery tab and then heading into the Apple Home app and hitting plus. You then scan the QR code on the device and it will connect to your home network and be all set up in Apple Home. If you want to use it with the Eve app, you don't even need to add it there. You just download the app and allow it to access Apple Home and it will automatically be there. I recommend mounting it after you've paired it because you can check whether contact is met or broken where you expect it to be. And then really there's 2 ways you can use this. So firstly, if you've got it on something like a door, you might just want a notification when contact is broken. You can set that up in Apple Home and it will just tell you when that happens. You just go into device settings and turn on those notifications. And then secondly, you can tie it into automations, and that's how I've largely been using it for my record player. That means I've got an automation set up so that when contact is broken, it turns on the power to my record player and my speakers. Now if I wanted to, I could set up some kind of Siri shortcut that waited for a while and then turned it off again, but I decided not to do that because actually I just want the speakers and the record player to turn off at a certain time of night, or I can turn it off manually. One thing to note is I haven't seen it expose battery level into Apple Home. And this is a pain because this thing really devours batteries. And in the 5 months I've had it, it's got through 2 whole batteries. This makes this the most power-hungry contact sensor I have ever used. And to put that in perspective, the Aqara one that I've got in my oven is probably used the same amount of time, but it still says it's got good battery life, and Apple Home says 100%. I've been using that for 9 months. That means if you were to put this Eve contact sensor on something like a door where it'd be activated more often, you'd find that it really got through batteries. And that's why, despite this responding really quickly when contact is broken or met, I really can't recommend it. It's also the reason that once I've finished recording this video, I'm going to be switching it across to the SwitchBot contact sensor. Now that's a contact sensor I've not used before, so we'll be reviewing that on this channel as well. So make sure you subscribe if you want to see that review in a few months when it comes out. But all in all, what's the verdict on the Eve contact sensor? And I think you know where I'm going with this. And the thing is, despite it having a nice design and responding really well alongside being Matter compatible, the battery life just makes it something I really cannot recommend. And from looking at other reviews, I'm not the only one who's had this issue. This seems to be a general problem with this device. And generally with smart home products, I found that contact sensors are the things you don't have to worry about batteries in, and so you don't want to have to worry about batteries in. So if you do want to get a contact sensor, get a Meros one, or a SwitchBot one, or an Aqara one. And yes, with all 3 you need an extra hub, but actually the Meros one still costs less with the hub. I will link all 3 of those below alongside the Eve one. What I would love to know, however, is if you've got one of these Eve ones, what's your experience been? How's the battery life for you? If you've got any questions about it, do stick them below as well, and I'll try and help you guys out. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys again soon.